I died for 20 minutes. Not in a metaphor, not in a dream, not in a story I read online. I mean, my heart stopped, my body went cold, and my soul was dragged screaming into a place I pray you never see. And the most terrifying part? I didn't go there because I was an atheist. I didn't go there because I hated God. I didn't go there because I didn't know the truth. I went there because I knew better, and still chose evil. My name doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what I saw, who I saw, and what God commanded me to tell you when He sent me back. I was a doctor, a respected one, the kind people trusted with their children, and behind closed doors, I was something else entirely. A man who sold innocence, a man who signed death warrants with clean hands, a man who thought hell was for other people. For 20 minutes, hell showed me my real title. And if you stay until the end of this testimony, you will understand why sleeping comfortably in sin is the most dangerous place a soul can be. Before I go any further, let me say this clearly. I am not proud of who I was. I am ashamed. And I deserve judgment. But God gave me mercy, not to excuse me, but to warn you. This testimony is not meant to entertain you. It is meant to shake you awake. Before I tell you how a man like me ended up in hell, if only for 20 minutes, I need to pause and say something from my heart. To everyone who listens to these testimonies, to those who comment, pray, share, and take these stories seriously, thank you. You may never fully understand how much your support matters. Every message, every prayer, every moment you spend listening creates a ripple that reaches souls you may never meet on this side of eternity. These stories are not easy to tell. Some of us relive our worst moments just to make sure someone else doesn't have to. If you are here, it's not an accident. If this story found you, there is a reason. And I pray before this testimony ends that your heart remains open, your spirit alert, and your soul guarded. Now, let me take you back to the day everything began. The date was March 17th, 2019. I remember it clearly because I was wearing my white coat when my heart stopped. I had just finished a long shift at the hospital. Another successful day, another life saved, another reputation reinforced. On the surface, I was everything society celebrates. Educated, respected, financially comfortable. I was the kind of man people pointed to and said, "Now that is a good man." But heaven was not fooled, and hell was already preparing my file. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Mark Aude, Sexoak Tree Dive. Before that day, before my heart failed and my soul was weighed, I lived a double life, so polished that even I believed my own lies. I was raised in what people would call a good Christian home. Sunday school as a child, church on major holidays, Bible verses framed on the wall, collecting dust. I knew the language of faith, but not the fear of God. I believed in God, yes, but not in accountability, not in judgment, not in hell as something real and personal. By the time I became a doctor, my faith had cooled into something comfortable and useless. I told myself I was too educated for old religious fear tactics. Hell, I thought, was symbolic, a scarecrow for weak minds. I believed if God existed, He was too loving to punish someone like me, especially someone who saved lives. That belief became my shield. I worked long hours, trauma cases, pediatrics, neonatal emergencies. I was praised for my calm hands and gentle voice. Parents trusted me, nurses respected me, administrators protected me. And slowly, almost invisibly, pride grew roots in my soul. It started with money. A man approached me years earlier, well-dressed, quiet, respectful. He spoke in coded language, medical clearances, documentation, transport. I knew exactly what he meant the moment he mentioned children crossing borders without questions. I told myself I wasn't touching anyone. I told myself I wasn't choosing victims. I told myself I was just processing paperwork. That's how evil enters, not with horns, but with excuses. Soon, my medical authority became a key. My signature opened doors. My silence protected monsters. I didn't see faces anymore, only files. Ages became numbers. Names became codes. Every time my conscience stirred, I buried it under logic. They'll do it with or without me. At least I make sure they're healthy. I donate to charity. I go to church sometimes. I even prayed short, shallow prayers, asking God to bless my work. I never asked Him to examine it. Deep down, I avoided sermons about holiness. I changed the channel when hell was mentioned. I mocked testimonies like this one. I told myself fear-based faith was manipulation. But at night when the world went quiet, I sometimes heard children crying in my dreams. I woke up sweating, heart racing, and whispered, "I'm still a good man." I wasn't. And the truth is this: hell didn't surprise me because I was ignorant. It surprised me because I was arrogant. I thought my title could save me. I thought my charity could cancel my sin. I thought silence was neutrality. I was wrong. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. Proverbs 14:12. That's who I was, right up until the moment my body collapsed and eternity pulled back the curtain. The collapse came without warning. No dramatic buildup, no time to repent, no last prayer. I was standing in the hospital corridor, reviewing a patient chart, when my vision narrowed, like someone was closing a tunnel around my eyes. The fluorescent lights above me began to hum low at first, then violently loud, like a swarm of insects trapped inside my skull. I remember thinking, this is strange. I don't feel pain. Then my legs gave out. I hit the floor hard. Faces rushed toward me, nurses, doctors, people calling my name. I could hear them, but their voices sounded distant, stretched, like echoes underwater. And then something terrifying happened. I realized I was watching myself. I was above my body, hovering near the ceiling, staring down at a man in a white coat sprawled on the cold hospital tiles. His eyes were half open. His lips were turning blue. Someone shouted, "He's coding!" I wanted to scream, "That's me!" But no sound came out. Time fractured. Seconds stretched into something thick and heavy. I watched them begin CPR. I saw the defibrillator pads slapped onto my chest. I felt nothing, no pain, no shock, only a growing pull, like gravity had reversed and was dragging my soul downward instead of up. Then the hospital vanished. Not faded, not dissolved. It was ripped away. I was falling, not through air, but through darkness that had weight. It pressed against me, smothered me. The deeper I fell, the louder it became. Screams rose from below, not human screams, but something distorted, layered with agony and rage. The smell hit next. Burning, rotting flesh. Sulfur so strong, it felt like it was peeling the inside of my nose. I tried to pray. I tried to say Jesus. My mouth wouldn't form the word. Hands grabbed me. Not guiding hands, clawing hands. They pulled at me, scraped me, dragged me faster. I felt terror explode inside me, raw and naked. Every excuse I had ever made shattered at once. I understood something instantly and completely. This place knew me. It wasn't unfamiliar. It wasn't random. It was prepared. I landed on something hard and uneven. The ground was hot, alive with heat that burned without flame. The sky above was not black, but dark red, pulsing like a wounded organ. All around me were people. Naked souls, no status, no titles, no disguises. Some screamed non-stop. Others rocked back and forth, whispering regrets over and over like broken records. I recognized something worse than pain in their faces' recognition. They knew why they were there. Then I saw them. Children, not as children but as shadows. Small, broken forms huddled together, silent, eyes hollow. When they looked at me, something inside me collapsed. A voice deep, mocking, satisfied, echoed from everywhere and nowhere. Doctor. The word dripped with sarcasm. Images were forced into my mind. Not accusations, evidence, every signature, every file, every child whose fate I enabled. I felt their fear, their confusion, their stolen futures, all at once. I begged. I screamed. I said, "I didn't touch them, I didn't." The voice cut me off. "You opened the door." Then came the worst revelation of all. Hell was not torturing me yet. It was introducing me to my identity. I understood in that moment that hell is not just fire, it is truth without mercy. No denial, no justification, no escape from what you chose to become. And as the ground began to open beneath me, as something massive moved in the darkness below, I realized, with absolute certainty, I was not leaving this place. The ground beneath me cracked open with a sound like bones snapping. Not one crack, many. Like the earth itself was screaming. I tried to crawl away, but the surface burned my hands. The heat wasn't like fire on skin. It was deeper, invasive, as if it was eating through me, exposing thoughts, memories, motives. Pain here wasn't just physical. It was moral. Every selfish choice amplified the suffering. I heard chains dragging, heavy, slow, intentional. Something massive moved beneath the opening ground. I never saw its full form, and I thank God for that mercy alone. But I felt its awareness lock onto me. Not curiosity, ownership. A realization slammed into me with more force than the fall itself. I wasn't being punished randomly. I was being assigned. Around me, souls were being pulled into different depths. Some vanished screaming. Others were dragged silently, already broken. Each descent matched the weight of what they had done and what they had allowed. I screamed, "God, please!" This time, the word came out, but heaven felt sealed shut. A presence leaned close, its voice cold, legal, precise. You had knowledge. You had authority. You protected evil with respectability. Scenes played again, parents trusting me, children clinging to hands they thought were safe, my signature approving movement, clearance, silence. I felt the moment innocence was taken from them, not as sight, but as soul-crushing despair. I fell to my knees. "I didn't force anyone," I sobbed. "I didn't. You made it possible." That sentence crushed me more than the heat. Hell doesn't argue. Hell doesn't exaggerate. Hell simply shows you the truth and removes every comfort you used to survive it. Nearby, a man screamed, "I went to church!" Another cried, "I gave money." A woman begged, "I was abused too." The answer came back to all of us in different ways, but with the same meaning. You were warned. Time behaved strangely. Seconds stretched like years. I felt regret so intense it felt like my soul was tearing apart at the seams. Not regret because I was caught, but regret because I finally understood. Then something unexpected happened. The noise changed. For the first time since I arrived, something cut through the screams. A sound like a wind, but clean, sharp, alive. Light appeared, not soft, not gentle, authoritative. The darkness recoiled. I felt hands on me again, but not claws. These hands were firm, steady. They held me still as everything around me froze. A voice spoke, not shouted, yet it silenced everything. That is enough. The presence that claimed me recoiled like it had been struck. I felt myself being lifted, not dragged, rising fast, violently, like being pulled out of deep water too quickly. The heat vanished. The screams faded. The darkness tore apart like fabric under strain. And then, for the first time, I felt hope, for the Lord does not cast off forever. Though he brings grief, yet he will show compassion according to the multitude of his mercies. Lamentation 3:30 et 1:32. I was moving upward at a speed that felt impossible, like my soul was being ripped out of hell's gravity. The darkness peeled away in layers, each one lighter than the last, until suddenly, everything stopped. I was suspended, not standing, not falling, aware. Before me was light, but not the kind people describe as peaceful glow. This light was alive, piercing, holy. It didn't comfort me at first. It exposed me. Every thought, Every excuse, every hidden motive was laid bare. I felt smaller than I had ever felt, stripped of every title I had ever worn. Then I heard his voice, not angry, not soft, just final. You saw the truth. I couldn't lift my head. I couldn't argue. I couldn't lie. I deserve it, I whispered. And for the first time in my life, I meant it. There was silence, not empty silence, but heavy with meaning. Then he spoke again. I am sending you back not because you are innocent, but because others still have time. I felt something break inside me, not fear, but resistance. The pride that had survived hell itself shattered. Why? I asked. Why me? The answer came like a sentence carved into my soul. Because you know how easily evil hides behind respectability. Images flooded my mind: doctors, pastors, politicians, teachers, caregivers, people the world trusts, people who look clean on the outside. Then I saw children, millions of them unseen, unheard, crying out. The voice continued. Tell them hell is real. Tell them silence is not innocence. Tell them knowledge without repentance condemns faster. I wept not for myself, but for how blind I had been. Then came the warning, sharp, unmistakable. You were shown mercy. Do not waste it. If you return to what you were, this place will not release you again. I felt something like hands on my chest, not pushing, but commanding. The light intensified until it hurt more than the fire ever had. Go back, speak, warn them. Time is short. And with that, I was falling upward and downward at the same time. Pain exploded. Air rushed into my lungs like knives. My chest convulsed. I heard shouting, "We have a pulse!" and felt hands pressing down on me, grounding me in flesh. I gasped and screamed at the same time. The hospital ceiling came into focus. The lights, the faces, the world. I was back, but I was not the same man who had left. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Hebrews 10:31. When I opened my eyes in that hospital bed, the first thing I did was scream. Not because of pain, but because I was terrified I might still be there. I clawed at the sheets, shaking, begging the nurses not to let me fall asleep. Every time my eyes closed, I saw that place again, the red sky, the truth, the certainty that hell had claimed me by right. The doctors said I'd been clinically dead for just under 20 minutes. They called it a miracle. I called it mercy I did not deserve. The days that followed were worse than the experience itself. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I avoided mirrors because I hated the man staring back at me. For the first time in my life, I stopped justifying. I stopped defending. I stopped hiding behind my education and reputation. I confessed, first to God on my knees, broken, shaking, saying only, I am guilty. Then to authorities. Then to my family. I lost everything I once valued. My career, my wealth, my status. But here is the truth no one talks about. Losing the world is nothing compared to losing your soul. Prison walls did not frighten me. Hell did. In confinement, I read the Bible like a man starving for air. Verses I once ignored now burned with urgency. Sin was no longer abstract. Eternity was no longer distant. I stopped asking God to restore my life. I started asking Him to use what was left of it. Today, I speak wherever I am allowed. I warn. I testify. I name the sin people are too afraid to confront. I advocate for the voiceless, not to erase my past, but to obey the command I was given. I live with the constant awareness of eternity, and I never forget this. I was shown mercy so others could be warned. If you are listening to this and telling yourself, this doesn't apply to me, that is exactly what I told myself right up until the moment I couldn't lie anymore. Hell is not reserved for monsters with obvious faces. It is filled with people who knew and still chose comfort over conscience. I was not dragged there screaming God's name. I walked there silently through years of compromise. Let me leave you with this truth. Delayed repentance is still rebellion. Silence in the face of evil is participation. If your heart feels uneasy right now, don't ignore it. That discomfort may be mercy knocking. Before you close this story, I ask you to sit with one question, just one. If you had died today, where would you have opened your eyes? Not where you hope, not where you assume, but where your choices are leading you. Hell is real. I know, because I was there. Mercy is real too, because I came back. If this testimony stirred something in you, don't push it away. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe hell is real? Have you ever had a moment that shook your faith or your conscience? Thank you for listening. May God keep you awake, humble, and ready. Until next time, stay ready.